guys, this is Ref and welcome back. Today we will be reviewing one of the most beautiful designed phone and one of the most complete package of the S series, which is the Samsung S7 Edge. It was first released almost 6 years ago. On its peak, it was widely known as the best phone on its generation in 2016. With its beautiful OLED screen, with its great design, with an IP67 water dust resistant, with a great processor, a long battery life, an expandable storage, with wireless charging, and also it does have an headphone jack, which is extinct on the phones today. So let's check how the S7 Edge performs in 2022. So its design is a little bit dated in the era of full screen phones today. It does have a top and bottom bezel with a glass front that curves beautifully on its metal side frames. And on its back, you will see the same Corning Gorilla Glass 4. So far, with this phone, I haven't cracked its glass, and the damages that I have is only some slight scratches in the front and some dents on its metal side frames. On the front, you will see its 5.5 AMOLED curved display, the capacitive buttons, the fingerprint/home button, and its front camera and its sensors. At the bottom part, you will see its tiny speaker, the micro USB port, and its headphone jack. On the right side, you will see its power button, and on the left side are the volume buttons. On the top part, you will see the SIM card and micro SD tray, and the IR blaster. And lastly at the back, you will see its 12 megapixel camera with its flash and heart rate sensor. You can do one-hand operation on it, and I could say it's one of the best phone to hold in my experience, even with its edge design. Compared to the current phones right now, it's a little bit outdated, but it still looks elegant and ageless. It does have a 5.5-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED panel with 534 ppi. Everything from images to films to games looks beautiful, with pixels completely invisible to the naked eye. Its display is vibrant and colors do pop up. Watching movies or any content like in Netflix or YouTube is really great. Although, viewing angles is not the best because of the curved screen. Since this is an AMOLED screen, it does have an always on display, which don't need to light up the whole display all the time and can instead select individual pixels to shine. So it can still show the time, date, and a couple of information on the lock screen when the phone is off without eating through too much battery. The Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge has two variants, one running the Snapdragon 820 quad-core CPU from Qualcomm, and the other is using Samsung owns Exynos 8890 octa-core CPU, and both with 4GB of RAM. The one that I got is the Exynos version with 32GB of storage. Its performance is just fine. It's not the greatest, and you might see some occasional hiccups, but it's still usable. You can still do multitasking, play some games, though you might struggle on a very high graphic demanding games. It's still good and usable as a smartphone. For its OS, it is still stuck in Android 8 Oreo, and its last patch was around February 2020. Here are some of its benchmarks. Here are some of its gaming performance. On its front camera, it is a 5 megapixel with an aperture of 1.7 wide camera with auto HDR. It's good for taking selfies and it does have this beautification filter. Its videos and pictures are good for posting in social medias. For its main rear camera, it does have a 12 megapixel wide angle camera with an aperture of 1.7. It does have a dual pixel PDAF and an optical image stabilization. It can record up to 4K 30 frames per second. On its time, it is one of the best cameras on its generation. It can produce good photos, especially with good lighting conditions, though on night photos, this will struggle a lot compared for today's phones. Here are some sample of its photos. Here are some sample of its videos. It does have a 3600 milliamps of battery. It's one of the biggest way back in 2016 and also one of the best battery life. But now, since it's been years already since its first release, most of the time it will last between 3 to 4 hours. You can charge it using the old micro USB cable, or you can also do wireless charging, which is great since even today, most of the flagship phones incorporates wireless charging, making it one of its future-proof features. For its other features, it does have an IP68 dust and water resistant rating, which give it an added protection, and it can survive in dipping in the water up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. It also have an expandable storage so you can add micro SD cards for additional storage. It also have an headphone jack so you can still use your headset for listening music, and which quite extinct on today's phone. It does have also heart rate monitoring and a fingerprint scanner. Even after a couple of years, this phone aged beautifully still in terms of its design. But with its performance, age is already catching up on this phone. On its peak, it is considered the best phone of its generation, and I think this is the most complete package on the S series. Of course, I cannot recommend it to use it as a daily driver since you can only get this phone in second hand and you cannot date its operating system anymore. I highly recommend to use it as a secondary or an alternate phone. With Apple announcing the iPhone SE 2022 with the design almost dated back not only on the iPhone 8 but with the iPhone 6. Remember, iPhone 8 and 6 are almost identical in design. They just changed the back part from metal to glass. If Samsung would use the S7 Edge body and put today's processor and camera on it, will you choose it over the iPhone SE 2022? Comment down below. And thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And see you soon. Peace out.